Hey, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Channel. I'm Darren, and today we're going to do a dry cured corned beef. I haven't seen a whole lot of these on YouTube, so I want to show you actually how I'm going to do this one. So I got my hunk of brisket here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to dry cure it. I'll be back.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Alright guys, I got my brisket here. This is it's actually looks like just a brisket flat, but it's actually a flat and a small point. It's from the steer that I purchased a while back, and the briskets on this were kind of small. I've already pre-trimmed this and thawed it out, so I'm ready to go ahead and put my dry cure on. And I got my seasonings and spices and stuff here, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it with the dry cure. So a lot of people use wet cures, and I normally do, but you know, with a wet cure, it actually will it's easier to do, I guess, because you don't have to flip it as much, but it takes up a lot more space, and it's a lot more cumbersome because you got to heat up the brine and let it all mix together, and then put it in a big container and stick it in your refrigerator. Hopefully it, you know, you have room for the container and all that. But I'm going to show you how using a dry cure can actually save you some space, and it's about the same amount of time, but you do have to flip it, you know, occasionally to make sure that it's getting all brine. But I'm going to show you how we're going to mix this up, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm going to use what's called an equilibrium cure, and you can use an equilibrium cure with both dry and wet cures. And pretty much what it is you actually give weigh out to exact specifications the salt and the pink curing salt. The other seasonings are kind of a moot point. You can add them or not. You don't really need the spices for the cure process. Most of the spices that you put in a cure, or the wet brine or the wet cure, don't really penetrate deep into the meat. They're more surface seasoning. The most important things with any cure, whether it's a dry cure or wet cure, is your salt and your nitrates, your pink curing salt. The other stuff, like I said, is just pretty much a surface treatment. Doesn't really matter too much, but I am going to go ahead and use some of it. So one of the things you really do need when you're doing the equilibrium curing process is make sure you have a decent food scale. Zero out your scale, put something on there to have the put your measurements in, but just make sure you zero it out. So what we need the exact measurements. I got a 5-pound brisket here, and I've done there's a calculator online that I'll put a link in the description below that you can actually put the weight of the meat, and it'll actually tell you how much pink salt and how much curing salt and how much regular salt to use. I don't want to keep saying pink salt because it's not pink Himalayan salt, it's actually curing salt, so Prague powder number 1. So I already did that, and I measured it out, or actually calculated it out. So for a 5-pound brisket, I need 56.7 grams of kosher salt. And I'm going to go ahead, so I can't really see the scale from back there. So I need 56.7 grams, and I want to make sure I change that to grams. So I need 56.7 grams. And I'm going to zero this out again, and I need 5.67 grams of curing salt. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic powder in this mix. Like I said, you don't need to put this stuff in there, but because most of these seasonings are surface treatment only. And this is just pickling spices. You can buy a big thing of pickling spice at Costco or GFS or wherever you buy spices. Just look for pickling spices, and you can kind of grind this up a little bit more. That's what I did. It's not really fine ground, but I did hit it in a grinder just a little bit more. Just about 2 tablespoons or 2 or 3 tablespoons of that. Doesn't really matter. how much of that stuff you put in. Because like I said, the most important part when you're doing a cure of any kind is the salt and your curing salt. So you make sure you get those pretty close to exact, so that they do what they're supposed to make this thing cured. So that's it. I got these all mixed up, and we're going to go ahead and put these on. So with the equilibrium brine, whether it's dry or wet, it's going to actually give you just enough of the salt that you need, so it's not overly salty. So all I'm going to do with this, guys, is just apply the cure is all over every side of this I can, and then we're going to put it on wrap it up in the plastic wrap that I got right here, and then we're going to let it sit in the fridge for a little over 10 days. I'll do 11 or 12 days on this, and then we're going to pull it out and show you how I'm going to finish it up. All right, that's it. I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm not going to bore you with wrapping it up in plastic wrap. I'm just going to wrap it up really tight in plastic wrap and then stick it in the fridge. I'll see you guys in 10 or 12 days. All right, guys, I got it all wrapped up. Like I said, I just used every bit of this cure mix, and I put it on all sides, and I wrapped this up really tight in saran wrap. And all we're going to do now is just stick it in the fridge. I'm going to let this go 12 days. I'll see you guys when this is ready to come out, and I'll show you a dry, cured corned beef. Several days later. All right, guys, I got my brisket. It's all cured up. I just took it out of the plastic wrap. I haven't washed it off yet because I want to kind of show you. It's been in there about 12 days, so it should be plenty cured now with this dry cure. It was a lot easier storing this thing in the refrigerator and handling it. You know, I did flip it like every day. I went in there just when I was walking by the refrigerator. I flipped it, opened it up, and then just flipped it. It was really easy. Didn't get a lot of moisture outside of the wrapping at all because I had it wrapped up pretty tight. But so hopefully the dry brine, you know, the cure got deep within this meat. What I'm going to do now is take it inside. I'm going to wash off all this seasoning and the mustard seeds and all this other stuff, the peppercorns and everything that's on there. We're just going to wash it off real good, some of that excess salt, and then we're going to vacuum seal it up, and we're going to put it in the sous vide for about 6 hours at 185 degrees. This is almost there, and then we're going to take it out, and then we're going to cook it up with the cabbage and carrots, and then we're going to have corned beef and cabbage. So, all right, let me go get this washed up, put it in the vacuum bag, and then we'll stick it in the sous vide. Hey guys, I'm back, and I've already cut up my cabbage and got my carrots in this pot here. So I didn't want to bore you with showing me cutting up cabbage. Just cut it up into, you know, this type of size. Cut it up and core it and all that. You don't want to have the core in there. And just you got some you know, baby carrots. You can just cut up regular carrots, just nice, you know, bite-sized chunks. So what I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to change it up a little bit, I'm going to hold the corned beef in my Anova Precision Oven using the 180 degrees in sous vide mode and 100% steam. And what that's going to allow me to do is actually just kind of hold the corned beef pretty much what it's cooking at right now, and while I'm cooking the other vegetables here in a separate pot on the stove using the bag juices. So I'm going to drain the bag into the pot here with the vegetables, put my corned beef on this pan, stick it in the Anova Precision Oven using the sous vide mode at 100% steam. Now you couldn't actually just put it in the regular oven if you wanted to at a lower temperature, just to kind of hold it, because it's pretty much done cooking. There's really doesn't need to, you know, cook much longer. So I'm just going to hold it at the same temperature that it's sitting at now. So you can actually put it in your oven at like 180 degrees as well. If you wanted to, you could put it in a pan like this on a rack. Maybe put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan so it keeps it moist. But that's kind of what I'm doing with the Anova Precision Oven. So that's what I'm going to do. Take it out of the bag, put the bag juices in the pot with the cabbage and carrots, and we're going to set this in the Anova Precision Oven. I'm going to get this out of the bag and we'll set that up. I'll be back. All right, guys, all we're going to do now is we're going to take the bag juices and put them in the pot with the cabbage and the carrots. And I'm going to go ahead and stick the corned beef on the rack to go in the Anova Precision Oven. We're going to go ahead and season up the corned beef a little bit with some of the pastrami rub I have. Not a really heavy seasoning. Going to go ahead and stick that in there so it can stay warm. I'm going to add a little bit of water to the vegetables and let it cook. I'll be back. All right, guys, here it is, all ready to go. Got my cabbage and carrots and my corned beef. Took about 20 minutes or so in the Anova Precision Oven to finish up while the cabbage and carrots cooked in the water from the bag. It's perfectly done, nice and corned, you can tell. So that dry cure worked really good. You can tell it's got that pink color. Ooh. It's not overly salty, so it's perfect. I didn't have to desalinate or anything like that because I used just enough salt. I used just enough salt and pink salt, so it's not overly salty. Check it out, guys. Make this at home by yourself. Don't buy that pre-made stuff. It's nasty. Very, very salty. This stuff turns out perfect. It's a lot cheaper, easier, better. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you follow the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. And join me again on the next Fire and Water Cooking video.